Each season is going to provide exactly what you need for that season. So for example, in the summer, we're going to see really hydrating foods like your watermelon, your bell pepper, peaches, cucumbers. A lot of those are 80-90% water. And that's because during the summer, you're at greatest risk for dehydration. You move into cold and flu season. The crops that grow in your area during that season are going to be really high in vitamin K. They're going to be really high in vitamin C. So nature is going to give you exactly what you need. Every season for your area is going to produce crops meant to support your health, meant to bolster your immune system, take care of your bodies. And so, I think that that's a great, maybe unknown tip about nutrition.
Thank you for watching. My name's Christa. I'm from Mommy Knows Best. I'm here today with Amanda, and she's going to be talking all about nutrition while you're pregnant and for postpartum as well. So thank you for joining us today, Amanda.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So first, just to get started, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, where you live, all that?
Sure. I will be 35 tomorrow. I have been married for it'll be 3 years in October. We recently welcomed our son in September, Roland. He will be 5 months on the 22nd of this month. We are in the thick of the 4-month sleep regression. So my phenomenal sleeping newborn now sleeps about 2-hour stretches. But I live in Georgia. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. Done a lot of traveling, but Georgia has always been home.
Awesome. Very cool. Let's move into the main topic for today, all about nutrition, different stages of pregnancy, postpartum, and beyond. So tell me a little bit about your background in nutrition and the importance of it to you.
My background in nutrition really just comes from growing up in a family that always had a garden, that was always eating, right out of the garden. I grew up very much aware of the seasonal benefits of food, of what was in season. It always surprised me as a kid growing up when I would go to people's houses and they weren't eating the same things that I ate, or I remember, not seeing the same vegetables, at friends' houses, or I would date somebody and they would think, oh, I don't eat that. And I would think, well, I love squash, I love zucchini. So I always grew up with a garden. My family currently owns and operates a farm. My dad can grow anything exceptionally well. And at a really early age, I also became very interested in cooking. I taught myself how to cook probably starting at about 13. And those two kind of just morphed together of not just how to cook or how to grow, but what are we eating and why are we eating it? What are the benefits? My dad always said that food isn't for pleasure, that the purpose of food isn't pleasure. It's a nice benefit to food that is pleasurable, but the purpose of food is to fuel our bodies. And so that is providing the necessary vitamins, the necessary minerals, the appropriate calories for your day. And then it's just a nice benefit that we enjoy food as well. So I think that I don't have any certifications. I don't have any license. I studied nutrition, taken a lot of classes. I follow a lot of webinars. But I would definitely say that my background in it comes from the experience of growing food, of learning how to cook this food, as well as, just create meal plans and dishes that I felt like supported my health or supported what I wanted my body to do at different stages of life.
That's awesome, being able to say you grew up growing your own produce and your vegetables and get everything homegrown. So I think that's really cool. So how would you say your eating has changed from before you were pregnant to pregnancy and then how you're eating now?
Well, now I'd have to be honest and say my diet includes a lot more chocolate. It's just, I think I veer a little bit now with being really tired to seeking a little bit more pleasure from my food. So I would say my diet now includes a little bit more chocolate than before. In my 20s, food was really a tool that I used to maintain a certain figure. It was very much for vanity purposes. I was concerned mostly with calories. I was concerned with balance. I was still, eating that diet of lean protein, of fruits and vegetables. I tended probably to, look at carbs a little bit more negatively than they deserve to be looked at. When I was pregnant, though, it really changed, and it really became a mindset of fueling not just my body for energy, but also just being amazed at what my body was doing. My body was making an endocrine system. It was making a digestive system. It was making an entire human being. So it was really important to me while I was pregnant that I was giving my body really good quality food that it could use efficiently, food that was full of the vitamins and the nutrients that it needed to do the task that it was doing. It was no longer about having enough calories to do a workout. It was about, I need to make sure I'm consuming enough folate for brain development, or I want to make sure I have enough DHA and omegas. These things were not just about me anymore. It was about being an active participant in the development of my baby, not just the vessel of it, but actually taking a role in creating this baby.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. It's like you're growing another human, so everything that you put into your body is essentially going to that baby.
Right.
So what do you think one of the biggest misconceptions about nutrition when you're pregnant is?
I think the biggest misconception about nutrition is that you really can eat whatever you want. This kind of idea of like, well, you're gaining weight anyways, or we're eating for two and you are. And there's a time in the first trimester where you should just eat whatever you can eat. It is a little bit of survival mode. I lived off of saltine crackers and, plain pasta for a while. Was that like fantastically balanced? No. Was it nutritionally dense? No. But it was necessary just to survive. So I do think that the biggest misconception about nutrition is that it's kind of irrelevant, or you have a free-for-all pass, because you're pregnant. And I think that it's important to still maintain a balance. There are times where I really wanted an Arby's roast beef and cheddar. Did I eat it? Yeah. I just didn't eat it every day. There are times that I wanted ice cream. I ate a lot of frozen yogurt when I was pregnant. We went to Maine for a trip, and honest to God, that week in Maine, I think I had ice cream at every stop on our road trip, but it was that week. It wasn't the entire time. So I think that the biggest misconception while you're pregnant is that we don't have to maintain a balance. There has to be a balance between the indulgence as well as, eating well, making sure we are still fueling our bodies. So you got to kind of satisfy that craving and fuel your body at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I know you kind of touched on this before with foods that you ate while you were pregnant, but what would you consider some of the best foods to eat while you're pregnant?
At all points of our life, we want a diet that has the lean protein, the fruits and the vegetables, the complex carbs. While you're pregnant, you have a higher need for calories, for vitamins, for nutrients. We're going to get a lot of that through our prenatal, just the extra boost. So, you do your best to eat really well. You take your prenatal, and hopefully you, through those two avenues, are taking care of your, your vitamin C or your iron. I think some of the foods that are going to be really, really important when you're pregnant, though, and they were really important for me, were the most hydrating foods. Because hydration is not something that we're going to get through our prenatal. It's not something that we necessarily get through lean protein or, complex carbs. But staying hydrated while you're pregnant is incredibly essential. If you become dehydrated while you're pregnant, you are potentially looking at lower amniotic fluid or really intense Braxton Hicks. You might experience headaches, vomiting. It can threaten miscarriage. And the same thing happens when you're breastfeeding. Dehydration and breastfeeding can affect your composition of milk as well as the production of milk. So I think that it's really important to kind of highlight the foods maybe that are really hydrating, to make use of those benefits I ate a lot of fruit when I was pregnant. As far as hydrating foods go, you want to look at your summer crops, your watermelon. There's a lot of fruits and vegetables that are 90% water. And when you don't feel great or you're just busy, it may not always be easy to drink a whole glass of water. But sometimes it's more enjoyable to eat a whole bowl of cantaloupe. And so I think that hydrating foods should sort of move to the top of the list when you're pregnant, especially the first trimester while you're sick. And then also while you're breastfeeding. Both of those times, hydration is really, really important.
Awesome. That's very interesting. So I know you talk about having balance, especially when you're pregnant, with different foods. Would you say there's certain foods you should avoid while pregnant?
I avoided dairy. Dairy for me increased a lot of acid. It's going to do that for a lot of people. Also, really high acidic foods, your vinegars, your tomatoes. If you're battling heartburn or acid reflux, those are going to be foods that you want to eliminate pretty quickly. Raw tomatoes, tomato soups, tomato-based sauces, vinegars, vinaigrettes for your salad. Dairy, for some people, is very soothing. For other people, it's going to be a huge contributor to a lot of acid reflux, as well as a lot of increase in mucus production. And so I think that you really have to pay attention to what your body reacts to. Obviously, you can't have alcohol. There are things that you shouldn't consume during pregnancy that are fairly commonly known. Raw fish is not encouraged. Deli meat isn't encouraged. You want to always make sure that you're cleaning your produce to avoid listeria. So I think that you want to make sure that you are watching your really high fatty meats. A ribeye is not going to be as good for you as maybe a turkey breast, brown turkey. So I would probably most recommend watching your really fatty foods, your processed foods. Foods that are high in salts are going to be really counterproductive as far as maintaining hydration. So if you're eating a lot of processed foods that have preservatives, a lot of sodium, you're going to see an increase in that swelling that really afflicts a lot of pregnant women. You're going to see that in your hands. You're going to see it in your feet. You're going to want to avoid drinks that are high in caffeine. They're going to increase urine output, which is going to affect your hydration as well. So those are kind of the foods that I looked at avoiding while I was pregnant: my high acid, my high fat, my high sodium, as well as dairy.
Interesting. So would you say a lot of that is the same when you're breastfeeding, or would you say it's a little bit different? I know you kind of touched on breastfeeding. So for foods to avoid while breastfeeding, is that pretty similar or different?
The way that this may be a little bit different is that while you're breastfeeding, you're going to want to really increase your intake of healthy fats. So breast milk requires a lot of fat to make. And unfortunately, it's not going to come from your belly. That would be fantastic if your body would just say, hey, we got a little extra right here. Let's just use that and tone you up. But it's not. So while you're breastfeeding, I still avoid a lot of the acidic foods. I have found with Roland that if I eat lasagna, and that's going to have a red meat, a tomato sauce, and a dairy, we are up with some serious acid reflux for both of us. So I would still recommend avoiding those high acidic foods. A lot of times onions and garlic are going to cause problems for your baby. Dairy is still something that I avoid. For a lot of babies, for breastfed babies, dairy contributes to eczema. It contributes a lot towards colic, maybe colicky symptoms or actions like the reflux, the vomiting, the spit up. So we just avoid dairy altogether. We avoid high acidic foods. But since breastfeeding, I have increased my healthy fats. So, I'm looking at an avocado a day. I'm looking at adding coconut milk to my smoothie instead of maybe just almond milk. Walnuts. Walnuts are a fantastic choice for a really good, healthy fat with a lot of additional benefits. So you don't want fats that don't carry a lot of benefits, but you want the ones that are good, healthy fats. So your avocados, your walnuts, your coconut milk. Cashews don't have as many benefits, but they're still going to give you a good, healthy fat. So those have definitely increased. I've really increased. I've eaten eggs the whole way through. They're incredible for both the developing baby and a breastfeeding baby. Blueberries. I've eaten a lot of blueberries breastfeeding, and they're actually a really beneficial food for nursing. But yeah, still avoiding a lot of those same foods, high acid, high sodium. But the big difference is just looking at your fat intake.
Awesome. It's very helpful to know. I'm sure a lot of moms listening will be very intrigued to know that. Do you have any other advice or tips you wanted to say about nutrition and motherhood or
One of my favorite things about nutrition, and a lot of people don't realize this, but each season is going to provide exactly what you need for that season. So for example, in the summer, we're going to see really hydrating foods like your watermelon, your bell pepper, peaches, cucumbers. A lot of those are 80-90% water. And that's because during the summer, you're at greatest risk for dehydration. You move into cold and flu season. The crops that grow in your area during that season are going to be really high in vitamin K. They're going to be really high in vitamin C. So nature is going to give you exactly what you need. Every season for your area is going to produce crops meant to support your health, meant to bolster your immune system, take care of your bodies. And so, I think that that's a great, maybe unknown tip about nutrition, is that if you're looking to improve your nutrition, whether you're pregnant, whether you're breastfeeding, whether you just want to eat better as a family, take a look at what's in season for your area and try to pick from that, so that then you really are getting the vitamins that you need specifically at that time, or the different minerals.
Wow, that's so interesting. I never knew that before. That's really cool.
When you really need that vitamin C, the foods in that season, that's what they're going to really, really be packed with. During a time where you're not getting a lot of sun, you're going to see higher iron in certain things. So each season, like I said, is going to provide this incredible abundance of what your body needs to thrive during that season. That's kind of how we focus on eating. I was due in September, so I spent the last couple months of pregnancy in high 90-degree humidity weather. And to endure that, I ate a lot of watermelon. That's what was in season. So it is really cool once you become aware of that. Each season intentionally offers you what your body needs and wants. So that's why going to the farmer's market can be really beneficial, not just in terms of being fun, but also really, really beneficial for your health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool, because then that goes back to what you said about if you eat more nutrients and homegrown foods, that you're less likely to get sick too. Because I think, so we're in the Chicagoland area where it's super cold right now, and everyone's sick. And knock on wood, I haven't gotten sick, because I tend to eat pretty healthy, but I don't know, I don't really get sick a lot. But some people are sick and they're just going for the supplements right away. So I think that's so interesting to know.
Well, a lot of times with supplements and medications and pills, even prenatals, a lot of times your body actually doesn't efficiently break that down and make use of it. So you are banking on something doing for you what it's not going to do. Really compact pills, your body has a hard time breaking down. So maybe you're hoping that taking that vitamin C pill is going to bolster your immune system. Well, your body's not going to make use of it as efficiently as it would an orange or a grapefruit. So if you give your body the whole foods, it really can do a better job of breaking it down, of taking it apart, of using the benefits to help itself, to help save itself, essentially. And I think that we know that. I think we know real foods are better for us, but it's so easy to make a shake. It's so easy to pop a pill. But yeah, if you can look at what's in season, at the real foods, the whole foods, it's going to be really good for you in a lot of different ways.
Awesome. Well, I learned a lot, so I'm sure the moms watching will be amazed by some of this stuff. And I like that you make it seem almost like it's simple. I love that they can just look at what's in season right now, and that's more likely than not what your body needs. So I think that's really cool. Right. So I typically like to end these interviews with fun thinking questions. I ask every mom these just to kind of get a little perspective from each mom. If you could have a billboard made today and where you could share one mom tip on it, what would you have it say?
I saw an article or a blog post the other day, and it said, "You're not failing, it's just that hard." And maybe that just speaks to me right now because it seems hard. Or maybe I would say, you'll never do anything of more importance than what you're doing right now. You know, I've never been needed more. I've never been more capable of solving problems, even when I don't feel like it. You know, for this brief period of time, you're almost a superhero. You've got these superpowers for this tiny person. So maybe I would say that even when you don't feel like it, you are a superhero. You've got superpowers, even if you've got dirty hair. It's such a fun and special part of life. And I think anything worthwhile is going to require a lot of us, right? Achieving any goal. If you had a big work goal, a big career dream, it's going to require a lot of you. It's going to require commitment and time and energy, and a baby does. So maybe I would say, even if you've got dirty hair, even if you are wearing the same pajamas for 4 days, you are a superhero. You're doing awesome work. You are doing an amazing job, and keep it up. You're doing great.
I think so many moms that watch this will get a lot out of this. I think just your knowledge when it comes to nutrition and just how you're going to raise your son, I think that's so inspiring. So thank you so much for letting me interview you today.